It's my first break. How many kilometers did I do? 152 almost since I put fuel. Hello. I wish I was in a couple that could do stuff like this. And if she doesn't cycle, teach her cycling. I would like to do that in South Korea, though. Have you ever been there? Beautiful place to cycle and camp. Really off the roads and off the cities a lot of the time. Well, you should try that one. Bye. This hole in the ground makes me miss the only land mammals that I met at Selkirk College in Castlegar. They were able to make friends with me. You know, I saw horses down there, and they look so happy. I'd love to be friends with them. They had such a big field to be in. I see a motorhome that crashed, you know, a while ago on the side. It looked like it was a stretch where speed and wind would have been a factor. Now, people can't control wind, but they can control speed. So can you imagine somebody destroying their own home like that? Actually kind of making bad decisions to destroy their own homes. And yet, you know, in a way, it's almost what everybody's doing to destroy their own homes by accelerating the Anthropocene with their behaviors. So this vlog here is one of 3 that I'm going to do today on July 19th, 2023. And it relates to the human condition, which I am a specialist of, and you can challenge me on that anytime you want, because I enjoy the documentaries on the human condition going through my head as I'm writing, that I'm narrating myself, that I'll share some of these thoughts with you, except you don't want to hear it because you're part of it, during these 3. One of the things is that it reminds me of driving in the north of Ontario. I think it was Highway 11. And now this construction zone I just went through, passing the 5 north, turning into the 16 west, you know, where the turnoff could be to go to Alberta and Jasper, is it's actually, the roads are a lot better, and still the trucks are going slower than in the north of Ontario, where, man, the trucks, like, it was such a rough road. It was meant for 4x4 low speed driving. Look at this guy here. He's probably pissed at me because he's one of the 2 I criticize, because it's a no passing zone and his vehicle is capable of going 70 and it's 70, and he's encouraging us to pass first. He's encouraging me, I'm the first. And he's on the side of the road lifting more dust as if I want. I don't want to pass you. I'm happy at 70, which is the speed limit in that zone for the construction loose gravel, and it's a no passing area, right? There's signs, even though they're not frequent enough. So in the north of Ontario, you know, where I pulled over the OPP officer with my smart car, and where they didn't open the door when I showed up at their office to give the complaint that they told me to go to. And, you know, there could have been nobody's there, but there's a lot of vehicles. And I could have, the fuse box actually at the door I have access to before their locked door, so I could have turned it off just to see if they'd come. But again, that's giving them reason to come after me. And I'm the good guy that the police usually run away from. So, and I don't do stuff like that. When I was banned from the University of Ottawa, it was because I took their protection department to court, because they gave me a ticket they shouldn't have given me, and they don't show up. Oh, I'm pissed off. I show up at the rector's office, which I was part of because I donated more than $1,000 worth of books. And I said, you know what, I'm pissed off, and I'll take this chair here and sell it. Oh yeah, they banned me. They banned me. I don't do that stuff anymore, and the reason for that is I have a good variety of human thinking tools. I have access to the same feelings you have, but you don't have access to the variety of human thinking tools I have. So I don't do stuff like that anymore. Anyways, so in the north of Ontario, I discovered doing research because, and this is something I've mentioned before, but I gotta mention it again. When I stop and I ask the supervisor of construction, why the hell am I being dangerously tailgated with these trucks that are gonna lose a wheel going that speed? Why isn't the speed limit lower with such a rough road for the tractor trailers? And he said, well, he couldn't get his own bosses to give him permission to lower, and he's worried about his workers. So that's when I pulled over the OPP officer. And that guy, that supervisor, passed by, and he saw me talking to an OPP officer after that, and I waved at him. So he'd given me his email. I don't know if I ever followed up and sent him the email, but what I found out is the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario were giving OPP officers permission not to give tickets. And the irony here is, on my way back from that area, is I was helping a lady fix her flat tire, and her son's in the car, and her mother's in the car, and her mother's husband works in construction, so they know not to speed. She's changing her tire because she got a flat at high speed in this construction zone, hitting a huge pothole, and the warped metal of her wheel, like you could tell, like that's a nasty hit at high speed to do this. So dangerous to her kid, to her mom, even to her dad that's not there because of speeding in construction zone. And guess what her profession is? She was a teacher in a local school district. So again, this is like, oh man, the beginning of the end of the species I share DNA with is from way before this, right? Well, in these zones here, I see a lot of signs, that are wrong, that are improperly placed, that are missing. One time we were starting to go, and I tell the lady that's opening up a long stretch of cars that are going to go, I'm saying, there's a 70 zone that is not covered back there because it's within a 50 zone. And she says, I know. Well, if you know, why don't you do it? And like, as her boss saying, oh, don't worry, or whatever. Like, they can't keep themselves safe. I've been telling you this. You guys can't keep yourselves safe. The people that are supposed to monitor these zones, I have a truck coming out of his driveway, and he just doesn't want to wait for the turn for the cars going the other way. And he's coming, and I'm like going like this to show him, like, at least put on your headlight or flashing lights, and he doesn't care because it's really wide, and even though there's one lane at a time. Now, will the vehicle that's construction in the truck pull him over? Probably not, right? Pickup truck drivers share the same kind of redneckism. Then there's people passing when they're not supposed to pass. They're lifting rocks for everybody. And sometimes it's to get nowhere fast. Like I see you guys doing driving habits as monkeys with car keys, and you don't look far ahead. You think you're going fast because your life is speeding and you see far ahead. You don't. Like I see you do dangerous passing when if you'd looked a little bit further ahead, you'd see there's now a double lane for passing. But you don't look that far ahead. You don't even live in the moment. You live in the past. The faster you try to go, the more your thinking gets reversed back to the past. And the more you don't realize, even when it happens, that, hey, your feelings were driving, not your thinking. You weren't using your senses and your thinking and driving. Let me think of a few more things to say before I stop this video. Yes, at one point I come beside a motorcyclist. Bye-bye. And what a lucky guy I would be to have a girlfriend or a wife who would do cycling with me, and really, we'd practice maybe in Canada, but I would really love to go back to South Korea, maybe as close to North Korea as possible, to enjoy cycling paths there, and just the country, and just not needing to speak the language, just meeting people that are curious about me, and I'm curious about them, and we can communicate either using phones, which I could teach them how to use their phone to communicate with me, even though I don't like to use one, or just nonverbal communication, right? Sometimes Asians don't think white people can ride bicycles or play badminton, even though you demonstrate with their own bike. You got more skill sets, or you borrow their rackets and kick their ass at badminton, which again, I've done both these things in South Korea. And I'm not saying it's only there, but like the ethnocentrism, people think that they invented cycling, they invented badminton, they're the best in the world at everything, including their own self-destruction as cultures. That's pretty much common everywhere around the world, because the Anthropocene is about what's wrong up here. It's not about a meteorite falling on Earth and destroying us. Okay, I want to finish eating. That'll be it for for now. But I wanted to say maybe one last thing about construction zones. Let me think for a second. Oh yeah, I was still talking about that guy that is from Quebec. So, you know, I catch up to him because he stopped in an area where we're going to have to wait. So I already turn off my vehicle and I come on his right, so he doesn't hear me. But I know nobody's going to hit me in the back, and coming on his right is not the side he's getting off his bike. And then I ask him a question. Of course, I'm French, but I ask him in English. And he doesn't know I'm French, so he responds in French, and oh, it's obvious. He's from Quebec, not another kind of French. And so I respond in French, but it takes so long for him to realize, like when he's like, you're French. I didn't know what. So in the meantime, he's missing many things I'm communicating in French because he's like, you're French. It's like, oh my God, I have to start over because he doesn't understand French when his mind doesn't make him notice a French person. And okay, my accent is not strong, but still, like, you have to be freaked out for like the first minute I'm speaking and not hear what I'm saying in French. Anyways, he eventually goes further in the construction zone, and so it creates a gap, you know, for these vehicles like the one that wanted me to pass them because they're freaking out. They don't have a vehicle where they can go fast. Now they can make the 70, and they can get off the shoulder so they don't lift all the dust. The first guy was doing 70 easily, far ahead. The one I'm following is going 65, and he's always going like he wants me to pass. Eventually he gets tired, he opens his window, pass! It's like, dude, I don't need to, and the guys behind me aren't. Once in a while there's somebody impatient that passes, lifts dust for everybody, lifts rocks, and they think somehow they're more important and they're justified to do this, when really it's like, it's part of the problem. By the way, they're repaving some things here that don't need to be repaved. Okay, I'm trying to enjoy the view, right? Trying to enjoy the air, observing what the animals are doing. Many animals much smarter than people, primates, and I'll talk about that in part 2. And yet, you know, people are freaking out because now they have to either like try to learn how to put their favorite music on. If it's not on the radio, it's an MP3 player, and their cars probably have an auxiliary. And the other thing is, you know, if there's somebody in their car, oh no, they have to do conversation, which I'd love to be able to do. And the other thing is, oh no, enjoy the scenery. No, I gotta go, because I have important places to be, like going on vacation, so I can enjoy the scenery. And the other thing is they can't be with their own thoughts, right? They haven't undergone enough of the maturation process and a little bit of the discipline that comes with it, that you can be comfortable and enjoy your own thoughts.